I'm looking at here in this section as I start a chronological story is I'm looking at a timeline, one reality within what even mainstream scientists are now talking about, these different realities, parallel universes and stuff, which interpenetrate each other. This is one timeline. So, we go back, we can pick this story up in this timeline in ancient times, prehistorical times in terms of official history, where there were, it would appear, two great civilizations which made together a global civilization, one based on a landmass which has become known as Atlantis, and one which has become known as Mu or Lemuria. And these were advanced, very advanced civilizations with, in many ways, knowledge beyond what is available in the public arena today. And they went to great technological lengths, great understandings, for instance, in how you can create a magnetic field which then makes vast stones basically weightless, and you can push them along and maneuver them around. Great technological advancement, at least among the elite. These civilizations came to an end, it seems, with great cataclysmic events. It's interesting that when you've got studies which put together the ancient folklore around the world describing what the Bible calls the Great Flood, but that's just one version of the same recurring story in every ancient culture. And then you look at the geological and biological record of the Earth, the two correlate in terms of great cataclysmic events which cause fantastic geological upheavals. Of course, the story of Noah in the Bible, which is a rewrite of a much older Sumerian story, which probably is mirrored, in fact is mirrored all over the world using different names for Noah. That is the most famous one of the Great Flood and the Great Cataclysms, but it is just one. The survivors of these advanced civilizations, and indeed before, moved out into other lands, and they took with them this advanced knowledge that was part of that once global society. But now these societies became isolated, and that original knowledge started to go its own way. Same knowledge, but it started to be expressed in different ways, using different symbolisms, different tools, different names, etc. And this story is also why, when historians and others have gone into these places, like the Maya and South America and the Maya in Central America and other places, they were astounded when they first apparently discovered these civilizations, these groupings of people, that the same basic stories that they were telling, religious stories and other stories that they were telling in Europe, were being told by these other societies that apparently had no connection to Europe whatsoever, because we've just discovered you. Well, these original stories come from the original knowledge that's just got isolated. They're the original stories from the pre-historical times of the global society, the Golden Age, as some accounts call it. Also, as these peoples with these advanced knowledge and understandings went into other areas of the world, not just after the cataclysms, but also before it, they were the people that had the knowledge to build these fantastic ancient structures that even today people say we couldn't build that now, or we'd struggle to. How did they do it, these primitive people? Because they were working with this advanced knowledge. But history just shuts this stuff out because it doesn't fit the song sheet. And this is a very significant area of the world in terms of the recovery from the cataclysmic events and the resettlement of these peoples from this global society. People in conventional history, they call, for instance, Sumer, Mesopotamia, what we now call Iraq, the cradle of civilization. No. It wasn't the start of civilization. It was one of the major points of recreation of a civilization after the cataclysmic events had brought an end to the old one. And what we're seeing now and what's happening is this global society is now re-emerging in another way as these formerly isolated societies start to connect together again. In fact, it's been going on, of course, for a very long time. And another connection that you have between these areas and many other areas in the world is of an interbreeding between a non-human race, force, whatever, and humans, creating a hybrid bloodline, a fusion of the two DNA. These hybrid bloodlines, this interbreeding, produce the kings and queens and the elite royal families of the ancient world, where they claim their right, their genetic right to be the king or the queen or the leader because of their connection to the gods. And all over the world you find this. And what do we have today? We have the queen as head of state of this country purely because of her DNA. If she had a different DNA, she might be cleaning the throne, not sitting on it. You know, that's how ludicrous it is. And this is where it comes from. These people claim to be elite and special because of this hybrid bloodline nature connection to the gods. And in Sumer you find the same. Sumer, which became Babylon, which became Iraq, has ancient texts and tablets which describe the same recurring global story of this interbreeding to create this hybrid race. The hybrid race became known as the demigods, part human, part God, because of this interbreeding connection. And from here, they went out all over the world. So the invasion of Iraq and the occupation of Iraq now is not just about oil. It is about oil on one level, yes. It's about many things. But it's also because that area of land, Mesopotamia, the land between two rivers, is considered of great significance to these bloodlines for historical reasons, because that's where a lot of them came out of. So this hybrid bloodline went off across the world, up into Northern Europe. It became the power behind the Roman Empire and the creation of the Roman Church, which became, of course, global Christianity. Much more about that as we go along. And everywhere it went, it became the royal bloodline, the elite bloodline, the one that became the leader, the kings and the queens, and also the people in charge behind the scenes. And it interbred with other such bloodlines in Northern Europe to become the royal families and aristocratic families of Europe. Then, because of the European empires, particularly the British, but the French and others too, but particularly the British, we had global Babylon, global Sumer, the global elite bloodline expansion. They went all over the world. They said the sun never set on the British Empire, so vast was it. Into Australia, into Africa, all over the world they went through colonization. And then we had this sleight of hand called independence for the former colonies, but it was only independence on the surface. What these bloodlines did was leave out in those former colonies the bloodline and the secret society network, which I'll come to, which manipulates the bloodline and its govers and agents into positions of power. And they've gone on controlling those countries ever since. And so today, these hybrid bloodlines are known as the Illuminati, the illuminated ones, and they're the ones that control the transnational corporations, governments, the banking system, the whole shebang that dictates and controls the direction of society. More of that later. And the idea, of course, because Compared with the global population, there's very few of these people. The idea is to enslave the rest of humanity in that vibrational prison I've been talking about, so the few can control the vast majority.
This theory that David is presenting, not David alone, but yeah, no one really articulate it and present it like Davidite people. This is more plausible, believable, sensical, and the creation story we were given as kids. Even as adults, they still repeat this nonsense. Science, mainstream science, this Big Bang and this man this God created earth in how much days? 7 days? 7 days, 7 nights. God said, let there be light, and there was light, and let there be that. And as I always ask these religious fanatics, when they say, God created heaven and earth out of nothing, I ask them, where was God? Where was this creator? Since he created everything out of nothing, there is nothing in us. So where was he? Where was he? Since there was nothing, what you did there when you create everything? And who create? Who create that God? Where did that God come from? That's my question. My question that never can answer. None of them can answer that. Who created this God? Who created this supreme being? So there lies the $1,000,000 question they cannot answer. They go round and round and find all excuses. And man can't understand the mind of God and understand spiritual stuff. Our mind cannot understand spiritual stuff. That's the nonsense they push here in Jamaica, people. I don't know about other parts, but that's the nonsense they push. When I corner them with these logical questions, these are the nonsense they resort to, people. So once again, teach your kids this, people. Let your kids hear this message. We all need to hear this message, people. Push this message. Wake up the minds, people. These are the things we need to focus on, and eventually we'll break this political religious system that's holding us, people, from creation till now, basically. So this is where we're at, people. This is the level. This is the level where most cannot reach. Most cannot reach this level, and this is one of the reasons too, people make people ostracize, hate David, ridicule him, and outright lie on him. These are the levels, people. You have to open your mind, you have to think about things. You cannot just take these frivolous things and say, yes, they are wisdom. Wisdom of what? Wisdom of what? People, it's crazy out here. It's crazy. But we go on. We go on. Go on, people. We must can open a few minds at least. Most can do that, people. Most can do that. So, love, everybody. Love. We'll never stop. We'll never stop this message. We'll never stop this movement till they delete us, remove us. So we go on, people. We go on. Open mind, strength, power, courage. Yeah, never stop search, people. Love, love, love.